It was a crazy game, but most of the time we see short games on that map.
Yeah. So, the game that you mentioned, yeah, exactly. That was actually a bomber match, you're right.
I think it was Bomber, but I just do not remember who he was up against.
Yeah, me neither. But yeah, and at first I couldn't catch the match, but now, yeah, I remember which game you were talking about. That was actually a really good match, but I can't remember the name of the
He
Protoss.
just barely, like, he was getting his storms off, and he eventually lost too much
Yeah, yeah.
tech, and he couldn't get the zealots in fast enough.
We casted a crazy amount of games
Yeah.
that week, so yeah, that blurred a little bit together.
It's going to get even crazier this week with...
Yeah, this week is gonna be insane. Double days of up and downs. I'm like, oh my
Yeah,
god.
when I heard that we were doing that, I was like, oh, so I should sleep
Yeah.
at the studio, right?
I actually thought that someone told Mr. Che that we are bored, that we have nothing to do the entire day, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's fine. And today, with how it works, we'll actually have like a gigantic break. Not only do we start early, but Yongwa is also not here. So if we don't end up in a tiebreaker, which could be the case, I guess, but
Imagine if both Younghwa and Stephano had dropped out and we only had a three-player group. That would be nuts. That would
that
just
would have been
basically just be like a
fast.
tiebreaker, and whoever loses twice
Yeah,
first is not in Kodas.
yeah, that actually would have been like a tiebreaker. They should have probably just rescheduled groups a little bit.
Yeah, if that happened, I'm sure they would
Um,
have just moved it.
I'm actually interested to know when exactly Yongma told them, okay, well, listen, guys, I cannot go. I can't come. Even if you prepone the entire thing, I cannot be here. Because I feel if it would have been early enough, they would probably just have taken one of the players from the other groups and put them into today's group so that we have no six-player groups, but more five-player groups and don't have a four-player group today.
It may have been that Youngwa wasn't sure until very recently he was even
Yeah.
going to go to IEM. This happens a lot of times with Korean teams. They're not sure if they can send one of their players. There has to be a lot of discussion.
Sometimes you have problems with your flights as well. I had the problem when I came back to Korea. Suddenly the airline told me that my flight was cancelled already like 2 weeks in advance, and they knew and they told me, and they're like, okay, we can offer you this flight and this flight instead. That might also be the case that Youngwa just didn't get a flight that allowed him to participate, where Stephano was lucky enough to get one. All those things happened in the past, and they will happen in the future again. But now the matter of the fact is that we only have a four-player group, and Stephano and MarineKing are probably the favorites. So I feel whoever is going to win this game should be in Kodas.
Yeah, most likely. I would agree. I mean, Bros players in this group, they're strong, but they're just not on the same level. They've never been in Code S before. They don't have that experience.
Exactly. So you would actually think that whoever takes the game between Stephano and MarineKing is already in Kodas. Of course, weirder things have happened in the past, so there could be a lot of scenarios in today's groups that don't allow either one of them to get past, but we're going to find out very, very soon. Terran vs. Zerg is going to be our next map. Cloud Kingdom is one of the older maps that we have in the map pool, so it's actually a very interesting map and pretty cool for Terran vs. Zerg.
Yeah. So for some reason, Stefano's still not in the lobby, and uh,
Well,
I
he's
don't know.
French, and we talked about this in the past. When we cast Iron Squid, we learned something. I learned something for life, and I mean, I'm from Germany, so we're pretty close to France, but still, I didn't know that. We have French minutes, so this is like you have StarCraft minutes, they're a little bit shorter than normal minutes, and then you have the French minute. And the French minute is everything from 60 seconds to, what did we come up with, 8 minutes, like roughly?
Yeah, something
Real-time
about
minutes.
eight to 9 minutes and
Yeah.
17 seconds, maybe.
It's a very, very flexible concept of time that they have, and this is exactly why Stephano is now just waiting, or make us wait a little
The
bit.
thing is, you never know. Like, if someone says meet me in 10 minutes, you still have to be there in 10 minutes
Yeah,
because they could be on time. That's like the smallest chance. But if you're not there, then you're going to be later than a
yeah,
French person, and nobody wants that.
exactly. That's something that you never want
You
to
could
happen.
never live with that. You might
Yeah.
have to live with that for the rest of your life.
I also determined another thing while I was here in Korea. Apparently, Germans in general, all over the world, we have a certain number of minutes we wait if we have like if we told someone, okay, I'll be there at like 5, we will wait until 5:30, and this is the latest that we would wait. We wait for 30 minutes and then we leave. It actually happened because I was meeting with another German with Snowbird, who's now in Germany again, and I ended up being at the wrong station, which I didn't know because I just arrived in Korea and I couldn't tell the stations apart. So I waited there and I'm like, ah, damn. Found out that I was at the wrong station, tried to get there, and I'm like, okay, I would wait 30 minutes. And it's now 28 minutes. So I arrived at the station and I looked and he was there and like, I would have left in 1 minute. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're German. That was actually pretty cool. So this is apparently like the universal rule for the Germans.
Yeah, well, it's always a scary thing we don't have a phone. I had to meet
Yeah.
Snowbird, in fact, also a few times before I had a phone. And I was always on time, thankful, but I was always so scared. I was so scared that I would miss him and then he would just leave because I didn't have a phone. Then I'd be wondering, is he going to come or not? So I always came like 10 minutes early and waited there, and it was always fine.
In case you're wondering, like, why didn't those guys just buy a prepaid card? It's not that easy in Korea. You have a little bit of a different system here. So if you want to buy a phone, you have to be either a Korean citizen, which means that if you are a foreigner, you have to have a friend, a Korean friend that can buy you a phone and a card and a contract.
Yeah.
Or you have to get an IRC card, which is an alien registration card, and you have to jump through all kind of hoops to get one of those. You have to have like a contract with the company in Korea. You need to get a medical exam, then an additional HIV test. And,
They actually removed the HIV test.
oh, they did?
Yeah.
That was only for me?
Yeah, well, I
Oh,
had to have
wow.
it as well, but recently they removed it, I heard.
What's wrong with us, Wolf?
I don't know. We don't have HIV, though. It's
Yeah.
been proven.
That has been proven now. I mean, that was kind of a relief. But yeah, you have to get all these things, and then you can apply for your ARC card. And as soon as you have the ARC card, kind of your life in Korea actually begins. This is like you're
Yeah.
like this newborn baby that can actually now do all these things and screw everything up because you can have a contract now with a phone company, for example.
Yeah. You can get an apartment. You can flash your card at clubs.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
And once again, we did it.
Yeah.
We killed 15 minutes of time.
We did it. I don't know how it is, but like these players, whenever we're around, their settings always are scrambled.
So you think it's actually the wolf dog curse?
Yeah, exactly. Like, there are strange things out there like the Bermuda Triangle that just cannot be explained. This is one of them.
Yeah. The Atosis curse, of course, as
Yeah,
well.
the Artosis curse, EG curse. I don't know if that one's
People
always consistent.
have
but
been speculating a little bit and have been trying to find out why Yongwa actually forfeit, and then they realized, well, Atosis actually said Yongwa would get out of this group, so there's no chance that he can win today, so he might as well go to IMLE.
I guess it makes sense. I mean, if you think about it. Well, let's find out if Stephano is really ready here. Hopefully he made sure he could click on his opponent's structures. You never want to get into your opponent's base with that Overlord, not know if it's a factory or a barracks. The map is Cloud Kingdom. Like you said, I feel whoever wins this has a very good chance of getting out of the group.
Well, guys, let's jump into the game. Stephano versus MarineKing at the GSL up and downs with Cowboy Wolf. Starting to the bottom left of the map, we have our French player. Once again in pink, his favorite color in the game. It is
Stephano lady call.
Of course, he gets a lady call here.
Still rocking that weird hair.
And his shirt is way too big.
Yeah. His opponent, though, at the top right, with his glasses, his ideas.
MarineKingPrime.
And contrary to popular belief, they are in fact his prescription glasses and do have lenses in them. There was a rumor going around that he didn't. It's not true.
He actually needs glasses?
Yeah. If you remember, he used to wear glasses sometimes before he had those crazy glasses. They just weren't as crazy, so nobody really thought about it.
Yeah, but he didn't wear them this consistently, so probably his eyesight got a little bit worse.
He also may occasionally use contact lenses. It's a possibility. Well, MarineKing is going to go CC first.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. This is one of the things that is a little bit awkward because for one special reason. MarineKing lost at Iron Squid, and he lost heavily because he always went for exactly the same builds, and this was really something where he said, hey, I need to change the way I play. We talked to him a lot about it, and he said, first of all, I should start overthinking my builds. And another thing that he freely admitted is that he lost most of the games because he just didn't scout well enough.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see if he is going to stick out in this game. His trademark style is going for a greedy opening like a CC first and then not scout at all. And while he's still able to hold on the 6-4 with this, he proved it several times. There's so many openings that will just take him down, like aggressive bailing styles.
Yeah. I wonder what sort of mid-game we're going to see. Well, he's now added 2 barracks, so I thought maybe we'd see MarineKing try to mech on this map, but he's not going to do it.
Well, we have these openings starting. We have 2 of the most famous players here in the game right now. Guys, if you want to support them, then definitely check them out on Twitter. MarineKing is MKPS2. For some reason, he dropped C. in his ID, so MKPS2. You can add him on Twitter and also, of course, send him a tweet. The same is true for Stephano, which basically has the same ID that you can see to the top left without the underscores, though he's EG Stephano RC. Make sure that you also add the two of us at ProxyWolf and at Caldor. Tweet us if you want to know anything about the GSL. I'm actually going to try to have an interview with Stephano later on after the game, so if you have any special questions that you would like me to ask, you can send me a tweet about that and I'll browse through them before I have the interview with him.
Yeah. I want to mention that this is a very monumental and special up and down match. This is the final up and down match between Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Storm. This is the gateway that we are crossing into. Where are you going to be when Heart of the Storm starts? That's what we're going to find out here. And this is also, if I'm not mistaken, the final broadcast of matches that we will ever have in the Golem studio. That is in Mokdong. After this one, the finals of Kodas obviously are not going to be here. They're going to be at Axe Korea. And then starting the next season of GSL and GSTL, all of that will be in Kangnam.
And it's also the last few times that we have Street Fighter Boys.
Yeah.
The last time that Street Fighter Boys will appear is at the GSL Kodas final between Roro and Symbol.
Make sure to give him a good send-off when you watch that finals. Stephano could make a Banding Nest or a Roachhorn here with that drone. There's the Roachhorn. Roachhorn obviously the more common choice. He wants to pressure MarineKing, who is known for playing greedy. And he could also add the Baneling Nest. He has speed on the way.
And there is the Roachhorn right now, the Baneling Nest. This is definitely going to, if he doesn't now start immediately another round of drones, we will definitely see a Roach Baneling bust by him. This is exactly how he would start in this opening. And there's the Baneling Nest. He adds a few additional drones, but at this point it doesn't really matter anymore. We will really see him go for an aggressive build. And this is the bane of MarineKing's existence. These aggressive strategies by Zerg players when MarineKing did not scout, which is the case in this game. He doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, Stephano is making a smart choice here. MarineKing is blind, and Stephano is going to poke him in his blind eyes.
But one of the things I have to say here, MarineKing is playing this a little bit different from what he usually does. He already has a Marauder, and he's getting the second one now. So he's really early on going into the Marauder production and tries to have something at his disposal that he can use against the Roaches and the Banelings. With good Mitro, MarineKing could do a lot here. He's supply blocked right now, which annoys him a little bit, but with the double supply depot that is about to finish, the supply block is not too bad. And he goes into triple Marauder. Oh my god.
Yeah, he's actually going into a Marauder Hellion. Yeah. So when these two builds collide,
this is funny as hell.
It's so good for MarineKing. Yeah. It's really bad for Stephano, obviously, because he's basically facing Marauders, which counter the Banelings and the Roaches quite well, and Hellions, which will clean up the Speedlings.
Exactly. So MarineKing chooses a strategy in this game that will help him so much against what Stephano is doing here. Stephano decides to go for Roach Baneling aggression, and MarineKing, he has the perfect counter here. He has so many Marauders already, and he has the Hellions, and here we go. The game about to start for real. Stim is nearly completed too.
MarineKing lowers the depots. That's how confident he feels against this. Micros back his SCVs. Baneling's getting some decent hits on the Hellions, but I still don't feel this is enough. The bunker there and the Marauders. He's even repairing the Hellion.
Yeah, there are way too many Marauders, and he does so much damage. The Zerglings are coming in right now. The Hellions are being repaired. Most of the Lings already gone. Stephano is in trouble as MarineKing is now walking down the ramp, walking over his opponent, and he is trying to do whatever he can to throw Stephano back. Now we have Stim completed, and he can just go for a counter-attack.
Yeah, he even starts combat shields here at this moment in time. He waits a little bit for the counterattack. Looks like he may wait for his first two medevacs. He could just send them across on him. Now he goes.
He was moving out already. And you know, with the supply depots, it was actually so smart. He didn't really need to have the supply depots to block the Banelings. He realized that he could take them out. Yeah. And with not losing the supply depots, he's not supply blocked, so he can still produce, which is really important for him at this point in the game.
Yeah. Especially because he wants to be able to hit this counter push. So Stephano is now in possession of the high ground here, but he needs to move his Lings back to block it. Uh-oh, if those Marauders get up there, this is going to be big trouble. But the thing is, you can't stop them with Lings because Lings are going to get stuck in that choke point. The Marauders are going to clean them up with Hellion support. If he sends the Banelings, they're not going to be cost efficient.
Yeah, only two Hellions though, which is definitely going to be a problem for MarineKing if Stephano commits to a really Ling-heavy composition.
Yeah, and so far he has. He did not make very many Banelings, smartly so. And you know what? Stephano could actually push this back. He gets a good surround with his Lings.
But all those Banelings detonate, and can the Marauders now clean the house? They are taking down the Banelings, and now they are only facing Roaches, and Roaches against Marauders. That's a tricky composition, especially with
the Medivacs.
Exactly.
The Medivacs come out here just in time. This is perfect for MarineKing. Now he has that healing power, and with all of his units in the red, he can still do the damage, and eventually they're going to be healed here. And Stephano just does not have the production to hold this off.
MarineKing looked at the game and was like, well, I have to be a little bit more defensive, and my best defense is a good offense, so this is exactly what he goes for. He has now the drop in the main base, he has Marauders, he has Marines, he has everything that he needs, and Stephano is pressured so much by his opponent. He's down to 38 Harvesters against 49 SCVs.
He has to use every single larva on Lings right now, and of course a few Roaches as well, but mostly Lings, which is the most larva-intensive unit in the game. He makes 20 Lings right now. All the while, MarineKing, because he's a Terran player, can make 3 Marauders at a time and continue SCV production. He has to lift up a few times here. Stephano doing a good job of holding this, but the economy from MarineKing is about to get out of control. He's got a 3rd command center.
MarineKing is just looking so strong in this game. Stephano, he is at 1,000 minerals. He has a really big problem with his lava. And I'm a bit surprised that with so many minerals, he didn't start a macro hatch.
Yeah. He didn't start one at all. He had his 3rd base, of course, canceled, and to remake that, and maybe that's part of the reason why. But regardless, you know, against this type of composition, especially once he saw it, I'm a little bit surprised myself he didn't add not only the 3rd base again, but before that, a macro hatch in the main.
Yeah, look at his minerals. They're going up to 1,300 again, and this is only because he doesn't have the lava to build anything. Yeah. He's trying to get units out, but without a macro hatch, this is nearly impossible, and he only gets the 1 base at 3rd. He's not building this macro hatch that would really help him a lot. He needs to get rid of those minerals and try to get units out.
He doesn't even really have very much gas either, because he's spending so much on the Banelings. He's trying to take in Infestors. There are literally on the map right now 20 Marauders, and he has no air units, of course, to deal with these. He's going to have to deal with it with Lings alone. And as long as MarineKing micros well, I just don't see this being a winnable situation. The Marauders are going to choke here.
This is like the best hits that he can get with the Banelings, but in the end against Marauders, that doesn't help. This is never where you want to detonate your Banelings in general.
He can't get us around here in that choke point. The Lings try their best.
MarineKing is up at 108 supply against 54. Stephano is struggling for survival, but it really looks like he's just barely able to hold on.
Yep. He holds for now, but MarineKing's 2nd wave is going to be a problem whenever he sends it. Looks like MarineKing is just going to go home, gather up his forces and go for another big attack. Meanwhile, he's getting 1-1 finished up. His armory's on the way. He's at 61 Harvesters right now.
He's also at 1,600 minerals. He has so many minerals, he can't do anything with it. It's not a matter of resources, it's really a matter of lava. He just can't get the units out, and he's building Zerglings.
Yeah, he's constantly making the Lings because that's the only answer to this type of composition for him right now. He doesn't have passive commands yet. He will clean this up decently well, in fact, but it's just not cost efficient. It's not larva efficient.
Exactly, and of course MarineKing is now happy to just trade armies. He's on 3 bases already. He's going into all the upgrades that he needs, now starting the combat shield that he didn't have so far. His armory is about to finish, and then +2/+2 will show up on the production tab. MarineKing is in a great spot.
MarineKing has 10 Medivacs, 8 Marauders, and 1 Marine. He has more Medivacs than any other combat unit, so that's why he has to pick up and lift here, but you can see how much power that gives him. And now he can stop Medivac production and spend his gas on other things, like getting 2-2 upgrades out, adding more barracks, and just continuing Marauder production.
Stephano is on 41 Harvesters against 72 workers for MarineKing. This is also why those fights are a little bit closer, even though the overall supply, there's such a huge gap, because the army supply was in the last few fights a little more even than you would expect.
Yeah.
MarineKing, of course, still in an advantageous position, but it was not as huge a gap as you would think looking at the overall supply.
And a lot of that army supply, again, was in just Medivacs, so they can't do damage. They can only heal. But this next wave, I think, will be the end of Stephano. He's got the Infestors now, but MarineKing has 2-2 on the way. Good bungles so far. The healing power here is insane, but still, he needs more units underneath those Medivacs.
And he's still producing Medivacs. He's going for an insane amount. He will be at 13 Medivacs in the second. He needs more units on the ground, as he already said. And he's adding now a lot of tech labs, so he will be able to kick his production up a notch.
If there were a few more Infestors here, he could have actually killed all these Medivacs. Stephano might have been able to get another edge. But just watch 2 Marauders kill like 6 Roaches. I mean, That's the healing power there that we have. Nice micro by Marine King. And eventually, Stephano just does not have the economy to deal with the production that Marine King is sending out here. Marine King's additional barracks have finished, and he's starting Marines now with his Marauders.
This is basically the Medivac heaven. This is the best thing that can happen to you when you're a Medivac. Every single Marine or Marauder has his personal Medivac, and you still have a few spare ones that can take it easy for a little bit and have a break.
Yeah. You could just chill out. It's fine. You just enjoy the scenery.
Yeah.
Watch the fight.
There are some players that will only have like 2 or 3 medivacs who have to like do overtime the entire game, but those medivacs, they have like the best job in the entire world.
Exactly.
Right
They don't even. They still get paid the same. 100 Vespine gas, 100 minerals,
Yep.
and they're not too concerned about how much work they have to do. They still get their salary.
And now look at the upgrades here. Stephano, yes, he's going into +2/+2 as well, but Marine King will have an upgrade lead with his upgrades kicking in a little bit faster. At least the armor upgrade. That's one of those things that he can rely on in the next attack. And he's also building or built already another command center. So he has a 4th now, and this is really something that Stephano will not have for a long, long time.
I actually think Marine King needs to stop making medevacs. He has way too many. He's about to have 17. I mean, I know he's not Flash. He used his ID on Heart of the Swarm for a little while, but this is just way too many medevacs. He actually does not even want this many medevacs.
He's at 200 supply now, and he can just fight against Stephano wherever he wants. He has the units that he needs, but the medivac count is getting a bit crazy. But definitely with this split that we see right now, those funnels don't do as much damage or as they were supposed to. There are no Banelings anymore. There is no hope. GG, well played. Stephano loses to Marine King in the second game here at the Upper Downs.
That was a builder loss as hard countered as it gets. I mean, Baneling Roach against Marauder Hellion all in is just, I mean, they both played blind and the coin came up heads. That's what Marine King picked. He said he called heads in the air and he wins.
Yeah, but it was also an issue of Stephano never having the lava, and I feel if he would have tried to get another macro hatch out in the game, that might have changed things a little bit.
Marine King was a little bit sloppy with his counterattack, I feel, and his micro was not the best either during the actual engagement.
I mean, the macro hatch doesn't win Stephano the game. It's not like he builds the hatch, suddenly has the lava, and it's like, boom, he wins it. But then he has at least a fighting chance in a lot of those battles. A few of those were really close because he didn't have the units that did damage, but a lot of medivacs in the actual fight. So Stephano here just trying, but as you already pointed out, from the beginning Stephano was behind because the build order and the strategy that Marine King chose was basically a direct counter to the attempt that Stephano went for.
Yeah, it's like running into a wall, basically. That's what he hit. I mean, he didn't have the proper unit composition. But as it stands now, Marine King has another lead in the group, tied, of course, with Lure at the top. We're going to go into our next game here, and I'm feeling like Marine King now should be able to get out of the group, but stranger things have happened, as you said earlier.
Well, Marine King is now playing against Trust right away, so he will have the chance to go 2-0 in the group. If you count Yonghwa's games, it would be a 3-0. Basically, what we are going to do for the rest of the day, we're going to disregard Yonghwa's games because he